Yes, let's go for it. And I've got the tweet ready as soon as
We're live,
we're
apparently.
live. Excellent.
Happy New
We are
Year!
live. Happy New Year's. How was your New Year?
Good, very good, thank you. Yeah, it's been an interesting one. I'm very hungover. Let me just open with I am very hungover, and I wasn't planning on being, at least not this hungover. But yeah, it's been a successful last year. You know, I got involved in Cardano. Oh no, it's been 2 years, or it's been at least 1 year before this.
Oh, before you get into all of those things, especially if you're hungover, you know where we need to start.
No, I want like orange juice, man. I need.
Hopefully you got some rum in that. That's the best remedy.
You know what? This morning I looked at coffee and I was like, do I add Baileys? Do I add Baileys to my coffee? No. Looking at Baileys is making me sick this morning.
Like the alcoholic easing. You know, you gotta taper off.
No, a cold turkey, man. That's why I look like a drug addict today.
You have a little bit of a train spotting vibe going on.
That's it. So yes, what are you drinking this morning, this afternoon, today?
I got the Buna 18.
Very nice, very nice. So yeah, we've done it. We've made it into 2022. Well done. We didn't die. The world didn't explode, and Cardano's still here. Seems to be going well.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a year.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of what 360 was about this month. It was just a summary, really, of last year, and then a couple of hints at what's coming up.
Yeah, yes. It was a nice feel good. It was a great the year in review kind of video. As far as what you and I are hoping to find in it that we can sink our teeth into and throw tomatoes at, it was pretty toothless. But but as a Cardano maximalist fanboy, it was a very nice feel good.
Yeah, it
looking
certainly
at the
was.
IoTs, developers, and what's happening and all. So I looked in to get some stats because I thought it'd be fun to take a step back and gain some perspective on, all right, so what happened? So I have a few speaking points. I think you have some as well. But I wanted to put into frame first that, so a year ago from today, I believe the going market price for ADA was 16 to 20 cents. So over the year, yeah. So over the year, we've gone from like 20 cents to $3, and then of course down now to 1.33 or something like that. So a big fall, but even still, zoom out, and we're doing quite all right.
Yeah, certainly. And I guess, well, it's not 360 related because they didn't mention it, but my question to you, how do you feel about the notion of pledge changing soon, or A0 rather, as a parameter changing? Are you concerned about the amount of ADA that you're currently holding as pledge? Do you think it's going to be enough going forwards to... because apparently they're going to make it more...
A0.
Sorry? A0. A0 is a parameter whereby...
increase it, right?
Well, as I understood, they're going to increase the importance of it. So essentially, unless you have enough pledge, you will not get as many rewards as other pools. So they're increasing the importance of that. I sit here today with a pledge of 50,000 ADA to secure the network and to state that, you know, that's what our pool is going to just sit there with for eternity, I guess. And I was kind of hoping for a drop in the price, really, because I wanted to be able to buy it. I needed some stability over the year. 20 cents, I could have built up a really nice pledge this year. But at $1.33, it's very difficult to accumulate another 200, 300,000 ADA.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Personally, I'm actually kind of annoyed by the price. Wish it had stayed lower for longer. Because I feel like I'm not basing off of that solid foundation. But what about yourself? Are you anxious at all for any parameter changes?
I have mixed feelings. So I do think that the best way forward long term is definitely to increase the significance of a, like, pledge needs to play a bigger role. It's not a silver bullet, but it is a significantly powerful lever for us to pull on to decrease the efficiency of a multi-pool organization in this. Having said that, though, there are two concerns I have with this, and that are pretty significant. So the first one is, I feel like they're doing this pretty late. I would have wished for this to happen much sooner. Because looking at it, like, very simply put, you could just look at this as all right, so we let people set up hugely successful populistic multipools over a year, which in the most successful endeavors have raked them in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of ADA, if you count indirect revenue streams as well. So they've earned all of that now, and then now we'll say, all right, now your pledge matters.
Yeah, that's it. After those people who have done what you weren't supposed to go and do, and once they've built up enough cash flow, or enough cash rather, capital, that they can sit there and be successful, now we're gonna make it so it matters. Great, bit late.
Yeah. So I've had I think 190,000 in pledge ever since I made my pool, and it's still there.
Which, let's be honest, this is a substantial amount of capital for any business. Not any business, but most businesses. This is a substantial amount of capital. Yeah,
like with the market prices just today. Let's ignore what it was even at $3, but yeah, like that's more than the amount of money you usually put into small business startups.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the one thing is I mean, better late than never, but still, like, come on, like. You say you want to disincentivize this thing, but you just made a plan and executed it, so it hugely incentivized people that spread their pledge thin, or it didn't even really matter, and so they've been able to earn a lot of money, and more power to them. They played the game as it was put forward. But then, yeah, like, now having it switched around feels like, all right, well, that's that's a little bit just pissing on the leg of everybody who tried to have a high pledge from the beginning and telling them it's raining. But I do think that that's the way forward. Now, I do there's a caveat on that, though. I think that what you really need to have in place before you put a high significance on it, I don't know how much they're going to increase the parameter to, but what you really need to have in place is a user-friendly way to operate multi-owned stake pools. Because if you increase the significance of A0, what you want to see, of course, it begs the question of, all right, well, what do you do with a pool like maybe 50,000 pledge isn't enough? Maybe 190,000 isn't enough. So what do we do? Well, we don't have, and we can't expect for your median stake pool operator to have enough money to just buy enough ADA at will to make up for 500,000 pledge or whatever it will be. So what you'd want to see in those cases is for stake pool operations to collate their pledges together, collate their operations together, so that they could get to a pledge level where this has above whatever critical threshold there is for rewards. We could do that now. There's technically nothing stopping us, but there isn't a frameworks for help and support in place, which means that you get into situations where you can't really do it in a trustless way without going through great inconveniences and pains. And if we are raising the pledge significance because we want to reward single pool operations and we want to have more, we want to be more decentralized, it's a pretty bad plan to do so if you're not, if you're making it painful to amalgamate together enough pledges to have a functional single state pool for the ones that don't have enough pledge to run it on their own. So I guess in short, I would like to see it be increased, even if it means that at my current pledge level, it's not functional. But I would really, I really wish that they would push out tools and frameworks first that makes this
less of a bitter, less of a bitter pill to swallow. No, I like that take on it. I think that's really insightful. Really insightful. Thanks for that. So just harking back to 360, because I've already taken us away from there. God only knows why. It's on my mind. I had a New Year's resolution for last year to reach 100,000 ADA of pledge. Did it happen? No. I wasn't buying ADA all the way up to $3 because I would never have been able to, at $3, fund an extra 50,000's worth of ADA without sacrificing substantially in the rest of my life, let's say. So yeah, that was my initial thing. Should we on the note of 360, do you have anywhere you'd like to start, or shall I just throw out my constant complaints, or like where do you want to go?
Before we go into the Alex the crying corner, then I want to. I've taken some influence, some inspiration from 360 on this. Yeah, like let's look at the year that passed. What has actually happened? What has been done? So we mentioned the price, just perspective on that for what that's worth. Wallets, 1 year ago, we were 200,000 wallets on the Cardano network. Today, we're 2.6 million. Now, granted, a lot of these are, each wallet does not represent a single person. The numbers are pretty clearly indicating that many people have several wallets. As you can see, that fewer and fewer wallets are being delegated, but the amount of ADA that is being delegated is pretty stable on 73%. So this is most likely just people having secondary NFT wallets where they don't hold any substantial amount of ADA in, but just to buy and trade NFTs or maybe on exchanges.
Yes, but I do believe the amount of ADA per wallet and per wallet has decreased massively. Previously, it was much more centralized, and we had I think it was 300,000 or 30,000 ADA or something was the sort of average, and now we're down way below that.
A year ago, it had already begun a free fall. So a year ago, the average was around 200,000, and today,
yes,
now we taper it off at an average of 24,000 ADA per wallet.
That's it.
But it's an average, of course, which skews things, and our saturation limitation also means that we are artificially reducing the average, because even though saturation of a pool is still 64 million, right? I should know this.
64 million.
Then that's a high amount, but there are people that have more than 64 million ADA, so they need multiple wallets to hold this if they don't want to leave money on the table.
I think there's a wallet out there with something like 700 million ADA in it, or something absurd. I checked the rich list the other day just out of curiosity. I was like, what the hell are they doing? Why?
It must be an exchange.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Probably Toro.
So those are the stats. Like wallets and price have grown significantly. And even though we don't have a clear number on exactly how many users are there, we do see the community is growing tremendously. And even though many of the wallets are clearly owned by one person owning more wallets, This is also indicative of other stats we're looking on, like the traffic, the amount of volume of ADA, the amount of volume of tokens that are being traded around is.
Well, we got the quote of,
humongous.
I think we keep hearing the same number, 2 million tokens on chain at the moment. That's a lot of tokens. Like, even if you said, okay, it's easy to create a token, sure, but we're talking about different types of token. Therefore, it's not just someone's gone and created 2 million of one token. There are literally 2 million different types of token, and a lot of them are NFTs. You know, they're individual. They hold value of their own. It's a lot when you come to think of it. It's an awful lot.
Are they counting policy IDs?
Yeah, I believe that's policy IDs.
Tokens?
That's policy IDs.
Well, if the policy IDs, then you could argue that it's more, because
exactly
there are NFT policies that are made around highly diverse projects with many different kind of things in it.
Exactly. Which is why I'm saying it's actually so many more than I would have ever have guessed at that point.
Yeah. That's a good segue into another callback of what's happened this year, because the Mary hard fork that allowed for the native asset token support here was only released in the spring. I think it was April,
March, April. Yeah, something like that.
Was it March?
I thought it was a little earlier. Yeah, March, I want to say.
It might have been end March, but yeah, like springtime. So yeah, we've gone from getting that capability to having having millions of unique different NFT.
It's huge, isn't it?
Series
in a single year. That is really huge. And when you think that though some of those are living ecosystems, you know, they're not just one and done. I've made this digital poop art and sold it to someone. Some of that is actually doing stuff now. NFTs are highly utilized in smart contracts to maintain state, etc. So it's really fascinating. I think it's a great sign for things to come.
Yeah, I see 2021. I think we will look back at this as the year of CNFT. I mean, the release of Gauguin in September was monumental, and it's a milestone that's definitely going to go down in the Lovelace history books. But I don't think that anything significant has come of it.
No, you're right. We're on that slow part of the exponential growth curve, and I've actually noticed in recent epochs, because I follow the transactions per epoch that interact with script addresses, and it started doubling recently. And you know what that means? It means that so long as things keep up, it's just going to go exponential any time now. I do actually believe that. You know, I being the most skeptical person ever, you don't hear me often state positive things like that. I'd normally rather just bitch about how like 1.9999 million of those tokens that Charles was talking about, they're all probably bullshit, just waste of time. But the fact that we've got so many transactions now interacting with script addresses, tens of thousands per epoch, so that's every 5 days, you're actually looking at a point now, and that's on mainnet rather than just testnet. I do think something is about to happen. I know that at the moment, at present, the biggest, most interactive with script is Muesli Swap. And this is a decentralized exchange that no one is excited about because no one got to get in early on their milk tokens, and therefore no one's getting rich off of them. Or at least not quickly.
Yeah, they came left out of center.
It was amazing. No, good for them.
They're a group of uni boys, right?
I couldn't tell you. I really haven't.
I haven't really looked into it. I don't know where I have that from. But I might have this totally wrong. So please correct me in the chat or comments if you know better, dear audience. I believe that they are like young guys from in university.
That's amazing.
That just, you know, like, hey, let's make this botched DEX, like tons of issues and a few bugs and a lot of rough edges, but like, hey,
It
let's
works.
make a skateboard
MVP.
and get it working.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now they're the biggest script on mainnet. Can't really fault them there. Actually, without them, I would say that you would be completely right in saying that nothing interesting has happened. They make up, I think, way more than half of all script address interactions on chain at the moment. It's quite phenomenal. So exciting times.
It is exciting times, and I just realized I might need to clarify when I'm saying nothing interesting has happened. I have two different kaleidoscopes I can look through when I'm talking about what is interesting or monumental or significant with this. One of them, let's call it the Mark Cuban. So the Mark Cuban kaleidoscope is what amazing, interesting thing has happened that the majority of people, or the median person, sees, understands, or at least understands value and interest in. So those would be the things like CNFTs that's blown up, projects are clearly happening from it, very successful, teams are being built, and amazing, colorful things are happening. It's the Mark Cuban kaleidoscope. The other kaleidoscope, let's call that the sextant. So this is things that have no apparent or immediate effects, really. They're all subdermal, but if you're looking at what is happening, if you're looking at the trajectory that they're setting, if you add all of those things together, you can see that, oh, this is clearly moving in a very steady way towards very great heights or things that will come. And those things happening. Smart contracts haven't been here for a long time, but we clearly have a lot of people, a lot of projects, very skilled and gifted people working on setting up extremely ambitious projects like programmable swapping and so many cool things. And they're making headway in that. But to Mark Cuban's quote that pissed off Charles, those things are not out yet. Your median person's not really seeing anything from that yet.
You are making me sound like far too much of an optimist here. I couldn't disagree with that more in the slightest. This is really fucking weird. I don't like being on this side of the coin. No, you're wrong. Mark Cuban can fuck off, because at this point we can point at testnet. I was the one sat there saying, where the fuck are all these smart contracts that Charles promised us would happen immediately on launch? That's what he said. He said he was hiring firms to develop smart contracts so there would be stuff that happen on launch. I mean, maybe that's why Sunday Swap and IOG are so close, and Meld and all the others. Maybe they're getting paid by IOG. But the big deal now is that you look on testnet. Testnet was a fucking ghost chain. And I mean that in terms of down to the transactions. There was nothing happening on testnet. The odd SPO that I've spoken with, figuring out how to make blocks before they go to mainnet, and then realized that it's painful fighting for that game. But testnet's been dead. And now it's alive. There are people building stuff, testing, figuring things out in the testnet. That is evidence. That shows that something is going to happen. I didn't believe it when testnet was dead and everyone said, oh, no, everyone's just spinning up their own testnets. Fuck off. No, they weren't. Maybe 3 devs in total were doing that. But I'm telling you, with testnet being as alive as it is now, in comparison to what it was a ghost chain, and now it is not. Now, those are simple facts from a miserable shit like me. So I'm telling you, Mark Cuban, he may have been right, but he is now wrong. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
Well, I don't think he was wrong in what he was saying. I do think he's stupid for not looking in closer. I guess what I'm saying is, like, I'm not invested in Cardano because of what Cardano has delivered. I'm
No,
invested
true.
in Cardano because of what Cardano is, I believe, is promising.
Yes, but I
And not
wanted to
promising
see
as in just the
testnet
words. But
alive sooner. I was concerned
yeah,
about that. And the fact that it's now alive has given me a great sense of relief. I now believe that this year rather, is I nearly said next year. This year is going to be quite phenomenal. Seeing it come to life as it is doing. 3 months after, well, it was September, wasn't it? So 3 months later, sounds about right. You know, devs take their time. No one's going to jump in. I mean, they've only really just got the dev portal going nicely. That's a much more comfortable, nice place to go and figure out how all of this works than it used to be 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I don't think it existed properly. So yeah, it's all coming together, and I'm excited for it, for sure.
It's nice to see a pulse there. Testnet is our the test bed for what is going to be coming next. So it's absolutely promising of what to come. I think that'll be a good segue into something I prepared for here, which is the 2022 predictions.
Yes,
so
let's do it. That's great.
What's 2022 going to be looking like? So what I've got down here is DEXs are going to be cutting their teeth. We're going to see them go live in different shapes as compared to competitive competitions products like Aave and etc. Ethereum, Solana. They are going to have fewer features, but they're going to have a stronger core. So what I mean with that is the Swiss Army knife is going to have much fewer extensions to it, but all of the ones that are there are not going to be breaking. They're not going to be rusting in the same way. They're not going to have the same kind of headaches, which is not going to get any points in the crypto media at first, probably for a long while. This is the kind of things that you look back a few years after. You're like, oh, right, yeah, this never caught on fire and exploded.
That's it. That's very true.
I see that's what DEX is going to happen. They're going to slowly improve
when
over the year to come.
When do you think these DEXs are going to happen?
The first ones, I think we're going to start seeing the first shoddy cardboard releases of that come out. It's a bit hyperbolic, but I think we're going to see that in Q1.
Give me a month. Entertain me. Come on.
February.
Ooh. I just I don't know if you've noticed. I recently dropped a video, my predictions for 2022. So this is a great topic for me.
Excellent.
I dropped my prediction for DEXs, which was the second prediction of that I made March. So slightly more optimistic than me. I feel like that's perfect for us.
Well, I was going to say late February, so we're pretty
much bang on then.
Yeah. So other than that, I think that we're going to see a wallet renaissance. I think Daedalus and Yoroi are going to take a massive step back in the bus.
How so?
Well, Yoroi has infamously had like a ton of issues over the last few months. People haven't been happy with them for a long while and are asking a lot of legitimate questions, as you and I has also asked in the past, such as, what the fuck do you do, Emerco? Because you seemingly haven't done anything since you released the wallet like a year ago.
That's a very good question. I genuinely would love to know.
Yeah, it's a peer-reviewed question. We're still waiting for the answer, but Daedalus is... I mean, it's the official wallet, main node, all these things, but on the back of the CNFT markets exploding, Daedalus is pretty horrible user experience. It's got some heavy-handed, ham-fisted chinks in its armor to like get worked out that you might be able to live with if only the user experience after all the sluggishness has been better. But just the fact that like if you're trading just a bit of tokens, NFT art or like whatever, um, uh, it is so difficult and painful to actually navigate that I need to have a separate spreadsheet where I log the asset names and policy IDs and all these things for me to be able to verifiably find my tokens in my wallet when I need to send them. It's so bad that I can't find a token reliably in the wallet.
That's just dreadful. I mean, you don't get worse than that. That's just a disaster. So dataless is a car crash.
Of course, and of course, on top of that, I would also like to see things like, you know, image preview for the 722 format metadata standard, or like all these other like polishing things on top of that. So things like CC Wallet and NAMI are making such great strides in giving people great user experiences. I think we're going to see much more of that. I think people are going to leave dataless behind. We are.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw at the September summit the light node that IOG is working on. It'll be interesting to see when that comes out, like how that will do.
I reckon that's the replacement for Yoroi. That's my opinion.
I think so as well. I think that it's also going to be a de facto replacement for dataless, kind of unintentionally.
Yeah.
Which might, I don't know if that's cause for concern, because dataless is a full node wallet. There's network value in people actually using that. Would it be like, how problematic would it be for us to not have that anymore? Is it even significant anymore, or are we so decentralized now with thousands of stake pools and even K500 that full node like wallet interaction isn't a significant thing? What do you think?
Well, I don't like the notion of thousands of stake pools because that's not accurate. The only benefit a stake pool provides is their on-chain public relays, plus their ability to validate blocks. Only 1,000, let's say 1,100, I'm being optimistic here, it's not that many, or maybe it's slightly more, 1,100-ish stake pools produce blocks. And therefore, aside from those 1,100 pools, the other pools are there literally just to keep the fees in check for those 1,100, I guess. Do I think dataless adds value being a node? Not particularly. No, I don't think it does, because I had such a chat on Reddit about this recently, and some guy just said, oh, it will be fine when we've got IPv6, but no is the simple short answer. I don't think it is that valuable, because I don't think anyone actually does anything with it. But equally, and I think it's easy to run a relay if you do want to have a full node. So does having the wallet as a full node make sense? It makes sense, but it shouldn't come at the cost of the lacking features of dataless. The inability to differentiate your tokens. As I understand it, you need NAMI wallet if you want to interact with most of the scripts that exist today. So with any smart contracts. And dataless can't do that, as I understand it. Yeah, no, I don't think dataless has got as much of a place anymore. And I think that perhaps we should be encouraging, well, there needs to be some sort of encouragement for running of public relays. And I don't know what that's going to be. But I don't think that having just dataless there solves it or provides much of a benefit.
So this segues into the last thing I have for 2022 then. Which, because I do think that dataless has a future of a different sort. And the last thing I have here is Voltaire 1.0. I think dataless is going to turn into our governance hub or an interface for on-chain governance.
But why can't the Light wallet do that? I think it could, personally.
Maybe it could. I'm not sure with the current technical limitations on voter registrations, if you can do that on a Light wallet, or if they do require you to do it on a full node.
Don't see why, but potentially.
No, me neither. But I haven't looked into the specs of the first releases of Voltaire.
Voltaire was interesting. I mean, that actually came up in 360 a couple of times. What did you... personally, I noticed the head of governance, so I'm guessing the head of Voltaire, essentially, was saying that next year we will be able to both vote with Voltaire and to also delegate our votes within Voltaire. That's sooner than I expected, to be honest. I was thinking like 2024 before we got Voltaire in that sort of capacity. What do you think about that? Is that exciting to you? Is that a big deal? Not a big deal? Where do you think that that falls in the scale of things at the moment?
Well, there's two huge things here. One of them is the moving the governance to be fully on-chain, having daddy let go of our proverbial shoulders here on the bike and let it run as the code has been written, fall as we may. The other aspect of it is the proxying your voting power and delegation of that. So starting with the last one, that's absolutely the best way I can see us going. But building on the learning how to ride a bicycle metaphor, so this is something that I spoke with the some of the engineers and the product owner of Catalyst about at the summit, actually, which is that being cautious and conservative in our evolution of our governance is a virtue. Because if we fall on this proverbial bicycle, that might destroy the entire network. While the cost of IOG holding their hand on our shoulders, making sure that they like how everything is going further, may have some negative impacts, but it's hard for me to imagine, a catastrophe.
Agreed.
From them doing that for just a year longer than they had to, 2 years or 3 years longer than they had to. But them letting go too fast,
would be a disaster. Absolutely.
That could have fatal ramifications for them. Could also be everything works fine, but my principle as like an engineer developer is definitely on the cautious side of things, and those are the values that really spoke to me in Cardano. Hey, we're building infrastructure that you can actually put your life savings on and not have to worry about like weird shit going wrong. And we have to see what the details are, if they're doing, if it's in a limited capacity, or like how exactly is this going to be rolled out. But that is what I'm very curious and a bit nervous to learn more about. I absolutely wanted to go in that direction. I think it needs to go in that direction. Nobody has time to sit and vote on everything that goes on the network, even at the current capacity, let alone what it's going to be 1 to 10 years from now. But slow your roll. Like, we're not here to get done fast. We're here to get done right.
Yep.
And don't take risks that you can't come back from.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't need to take those risks, as I see it. IOG isn't charging us anymore for building the network and continuing to build it. We've paid for them, essentially, with their founding fee that they've taken. And they're content to keep working on the network to get it to a point where they can make it financially viable, probably for themselves as well. So I see it as a nothing but a positive thing. You know, if we can afford to take the time, if the devs are paid for, we take the time, we slow down. You know, I do not want to hear, I expect in the next year we will hear about some sort of rug pull on Cardano, but I do not want to hear about some fundamental issue in Cardano that causes people, due to the layer 1 network protocol, to lose money. That is a disaster, because that's the whole point of this let's go slow, let's get it right idea that Cardano is there maintaining in my books. So for me to just tack on a couple of things for the next year, I really liked listening to two people from IOG's comments. I always, so to tack on a third as well, the chief scientist, Agalos, is brilliant, and I always try to keep up with him. You wouldn't believe how few people actually listen to his speeches, etc. He's brilliant. He is architecting the entire solution, and though it's hard to follow at times, he's totally worth listening to always. The people that excited me and that I felt within 360 had the right mindset were Kevin Hammond. I really like Kevin. Met him once. Really great guy. He was at the summit that we were at. And I didn't catch his name, but the director of African operations, because he was talking commercials and capitalist style sustainability and building businesses. That is what will, in my mind, make all of Cardano self-sustaining and work as an ecosystem. So from IOG, I will be paying attention to Agalos, Kevin Hammond, and the director of African operations. Forgive me for not knowing your name. Next year, I'm actually going to actively seek out their messages that they put out, because they seem to be the people. Other people, I don't know who the lady was, but she said the most important thing that they did was going to Africa for a visit. I was like, no, come on. Launching smart contracts was less important than just a quick visit to Africa. Great. Wonderful.
Mustn't be too harsh. You never know how out of context that snippet is on. It's hard to supercut.
Oh, I'm a terrible human. I can be harsh on everyone. I hate everyone, so it's fine. But no, those are the three people that I felt were talking my language. They were talking sustainability, the future, and the architecture. That they are, in my mind, the people to be paying attention to. The head of governance, of course, for Voltaire. That's going to be fascinating. I'm sure he's going to come to the front much more next year. This year. I'm stuck in 2021.
I hope he's got a solid spine and a huge set of balls.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
He's gonna get so much shit and dirt flung at him from all over the place. I really hope that
every decision on Voltaire that doesn't go someone's way, it's his fault.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite crazy. I'd like to bring up some more good news for the year, and I'd like your thoughts.
More news. This is opposite day here. This is not planned, guys.
Yeah, I know, it's really weird,
news,
but
Alex.
No, I do see a lot of good things happening at the moment, sincerely, and it's based off of it's literally like testnet's going well, which leads into let's look at mainnet. Mainnet's picking up, and smart contracts. Smart contracts are starting to come to be, and that's what Cardano needed. It's what it needs in the future. And the reason I, as an SPO, care so much about smart contracts is pure self-interest. It's transaction fees. And everyone else should care too, because transaction fees are going to be what funds staking rewards in the future. Now, transaction fees last year were minuscule. Literally, there were epochs when I started investigating it. Most epochs were around 7,000 ADA of fees. Nothing. Next to nothing. 7,000 ADA of fees would fund not even, you're looking at 20 blocks worth of rewards. That's it. So not even that. It was just nothing. So I've noticed that transaction fees are now in the hundreds of thousands. I think we peaked at 300,000 already in a single epoch, which is not huge. It's not big, but it is a substantial increase. Obviously, we're looking at nearly 50 times. No, maths? Yes, 50 times increase in a year. And that's mostly probably going to be due to script requiring more fees to interact with, which is great news. That and more transactions on chain.
Yeah, I was about to say, I do think that the increased transactions had something to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. But we could always have transacted. I guess that's just growth of the community. I get more excited about the notion of something new, I guess. New and shiny. Smart contracts. Ooh, shiny. I made a prediction that I think we're going to hit at least 3 million ADA in transaction fees per epoch at some point in this year.
Okay. I was about to put it on that at some point.
At some point this year.
Okay.
So if we hit that, it's actually then starting to offset. That's enough for every epoch to sort of pay half the minimum fixed fee rewards for a pool of about 140 ADAs worth of fees per block, just from, or rewards, sorry, per block, just from the fees. What do you think? Do you think that fees are going to go up another 10 times from their previous peak, which was a few epochs ago? Do you think...
You mean volume?
Yeah.
Price.
Exactly. Gosh, yes. I keep saying this and people freak out. No. The fees are fixed. Yes, the fees are fixed. But the amount of fees due to volume.
I do, because so first of all, while it's been plateauing for the last couple of months, kind of plateauing, we are still growing the network. More people are coming in. We have more NFT projects are being made and are transacting, selling. You have new series from old projects. The markets for that are also growing. So there's more and more transactions from that. Smart contracts are teething, figure out how to break out of their placenta into something that's very tangibly useful for more than just the CLI capable technical people. And when that happens, then you're going to have a boom of new people doing new types of transactions on top of the ones they already did. And then that is going to keep growing. So I don't know what that will grow to. You said 3 million ADA in transaction fees in an epoch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening probably in somewhere between August and October.
Wow, even sooner than I reckon. And you know what? I don't think that's unreasonable in the slightest. I mean, the fact is, I'm talking about how successful Muesli Swap is. It's probably not very successful. It's probably disliked. It's probably not something that a lot of people are getting involved with because it's got a lot of negative sentiment around it. And I think the next DEX that launches is going to dwarf it. And I think that all the smart contracts to come from the big projects that are coming are going to dwarf it. And I honestly see so much more interaction going to actually start happening with the blockchain. I think it's going to be really fascinating this year. This is the year that I've been waiting for, and I don't know why I thought it was going to be like this last year, but this is the year that Cardano goes from 0 to hero, I reckon.
Here's an ice bucket challenge for your wild, unhinged optimism. So I absolutely do see us being propelled upwards and forward by all the development here. And this is exponential because everything will stand on the shoulders of what is in the past. But we are on the EUTXO based model here. We don't have Hydra heads live. So we have a by design glass ceiling still for what we can grow into before it starts making weird noises and inconveniences and odd pains for the user experience. So are we going to get some sort of MVP Hydra in place that is going to move that ceiling, if not shatter it completely? Or are we going to smash into that glass ceiling and endure a few months of articles from CoinDesk talking about how Cardano can't scale any further until we like slowly figure out, not figure out, but like slowly get to the point where we actually release the planned extensions that will remove that barrier? What do you think?
So I'm going to go and say that I like Agalos, the chief scientist, because he was talking about Hydra. And I think that Hydra is going to be the big topic of next year. Oh, sorry, this year. God damn it. One of these days I'm going to get 22. It's going to be the big topic of the year because I don't think that we're going to become uncomfortable with 15-minute delays between script interactions, but I do believe that we are going to start to feel or start to see. I mean, we've already seen some blocks filling up, especially during NFT drops and things. I think it's going to become more common.
I participated in the Pavia Season 2 mint. It took me 1 hour, 40 minutes to send my transaction.
Dear God.
I've never seen a transaction go red while pending.
I've never heard of that even happening. This is news to me.
Right. Yeah. So like, and this has happened quite a lot during these like successful NFT drops, unless the teams actually take steps to like
vending machine
avoid this.
Yeah, avoiding it.
Well, like infamously, the ADA handle. Are you familiar with that project?
I'm not sure. Perhaps.
They're basically selling a privatized DNS kind of service.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can buy your nickname tag, and then they make partnership with the wallets and products so that if you write in Alex is a superstar, it's going to use their pointer system to know how to determine what wallet address that's in. Yeah. But their beta mainnet release they did here in December, they, like it or not, that was fucking thorough. I've never seen anything like that. So they were looking at the entire chain's load, and they were letting people in one at a time with two-factor authentication verification links. And they were looking at the entire chain's load and would slow things down or speed things up depending on how busy the entire blockchain of Cardano was.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, those are the kinds of people you want building on the chain, because that's, I mean, I want to say thoughtful, but thoughtful isn't the right word. That's just brilliant. But would you expect any less for someone building pseudo DNS style infrastructure? I mean, that's quite incredible. They're quite, it's a complicated project is my point. And they're clearly quite clever to have built this solution.
Technically, it's not complicated at all.
Really?
Business-wise, it's incredibly complicated. Yeah, because I mean, all that's really happening here is that you have an NFT, right? And so when I go into, I think Nami Wallet supports this, for instance. I go into my Nami Wallet and I say, I want to send 10 ADA and want to send it to I hate myself, or whatever your handle is. Then what happens technically is just that So I don't know the specifics in this, but in pseudocode, what happens is that NAMI wallet are collaborating with this team. So they're writing in this text.
Okay.
And they're just going to do a REST call and look, all right, what NFT is that? And then they're going to look, what wallet holds this NFT on the network? This one. All right,
sure.
there.
Okay, not quite as clever as I thought it was. I overdid that
itself,
one.
It is very valuable, very useful, and I like the project because not just because how careful they've been and respectful and considerate in how they're rolling everything out technically, but they have partnerships and seem to have amazing. They're very tactful and everything that you would need to establish yourself as a collaborating partners with all the services, wallets, and whatever you need to be in. And
well, that's great.
I could make my own kind of handle system in an afternoon that would technically not really be any different from theirs, but it would be worthless unless I can get the actual wallets and services that people use to use my phone book.
Exactly.
To the correct addresses.
No, that makes perfect sense to me. That's really good. I'm pleased to hear people being so respectful in terms of their usage of the blockchain. That's quite incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, let's not give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that they're manipulating cynical capitalists and like they're doing this thing. Then it's hard to make that case for this particular scenario. I'm sure they're here to make their profits, but if they just wanted the money, and if they wanted to make the best profit that they possibly could, then they would just release this thing, all floodgates open, and let people pay, and then they have them deal with hours of like delays. And some people got through, and some people didn't. People are most certainly used to this by now. They would not be singled out as being particularly evil or anything about that here. So this is, at least appears to really be down to wanting to do this right by the network.
Yeah. So just harking back to Hydra, what do you think?
Right.
Where do you see us hitting the glass ceiling? Because personally, I see us starting to feel some pains. I think transactions, the fact that we've got 20-second transactions, I think is going to help. The fact that they're increasing, are they increasing block size, or what were they doing recently?
We increased the block size in December.
Yes, increasing block size recently, using up another chunk of that 20 seconds or so. I think that this helps. I think that we're already fast enough that we're not going to slam right against the wall. But I do believe that we're going to hit it. And I do believe that transactions on chain are going to slow down and that everything is going to start to creak a little. What do you think?
The DEXs, at least the most prominent ones, are very observant to the whole concurrency challenges and how to solve that. Sunday to Mel to like they're all handled in slightly different ways, more or less efficient, more or less stable, more or less secure, more or less arbitrage. I think that we are, well, let's break it down. So are we going to see DEXs deliver on MVPs before Hydra? Absolutely. Is that going to have more or less a constant impact to our on-chain performance? Yes, it absolutely will.
Okay.
DEXs don't really sleep.
No, agreed.
They're certainly not going to get less and less active as time goes on. And so you pair this together with CNT markets as a whole are slowly growing, and they have spikes when there are interesting projects going on with it. I feel like it's going to go like we are at our current baseline right now with our noise of things that happens. That's just going to get well, we're going to change things up by a notch, probably an order of magnitude. And we're still going to deal with the periodic shit that happens. So what does that mean in real terms? I don't know. This is very baseless projections, but I think the user experience is going to be that the wallets are going to change from being pretty much instant as they are now in your median use case. They're going to go from being instant to being like a 1 to 2 minute affair. And with your periodic completely fucking horrible spikes when really big thing happens.
And those won't clear out as quickly anymore. You were saying you got delayed for 1 hour and 40 minutes. Can you imagine, whilst you've also got the natural chatter of dexes on chain, though that 1 hour 40 is going to extend out over 8 hours, who knows?
Yeah. So that's going to go on for, I think, at least a couple of months. I think they're not starting from scratch from Hydra. Far from it. They have been working on this. They have a team on it for years. But even if they come out in 2 weeks and say, all right, we think we have the first version of Hydra, like how long from testnet to reiteration to implementation? That's going to be at least double-digit weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Q1 we're going to start seeing MVPs from the dexes. This is going to be a tax on our network's performance, and I think we're going to have to deal with that until summer, until we see, at the earliest, until we see any significant Hydra impact.
I don't believe we'll see Hydra by summer. I think next year for Hydra, personally.
No,
that's just a guess. I don't know, but
I imagine that as the pains starts screeching during Q1 when the dexes come out, I think that IRG is going to scramble to try and reallocate some of their human resources on the Hydra team to get it out a bit faster.
I don't know so much. I think that as the dexes release, obviously, as you say, it will increase transactions, but I think it's going to be a steady increase over time, and therefore I think they're going to have a bit more time, before.
No, but they're not going to react to the technical increase. They're going to be reacting to the Twitter screeching and
exactly. So I think they've got even more months to go, because Twitter's like technically months behind. They're a disaster.
No, but that's just the user experience. Like,
true.
People's just got to moan and whine about terrible slowness of it.
Yeah,
and
but
the squeaky wheel gets the oil, for better and worse.
So I'd like to leave on another high note. I caught this really off-cuff comment from Charles at the end of 360 this month, and he said that there are 120 projects that IOG is aware of, interacting with, and being built, about to be released. Now, I can name maybe like 8. There's 15 times that many, and the best maybe we haven't even heard of yet. I think you and I actually might be under-egging the whole situation.
I think we are, and I think we aren't. So the Pareto distribution is a pretty good template to be putting on anything. So loosely put, because it is an advanced formula, but loosely put, you can say it as the square root is responsible for 50% of your productivity.
Mm-hmm. So if you're taking those numbers, what did you say? He said, was it 120? 120.
All right. So what would that be, like 11 point something?
Yeah.
So like 11 point something of the projects are really this substantial thing, and the rest are they're neat or nice or useless, but it's only really that 11, probably something.
Agreed.
If I were to put the Pareto on it, which certainly does match the current narrative.
No, that's right. I would say that probably we'll have about, I think I literally predicted no more than 12 in my own video that will produce 90% of script interactions on chain. So it's really funny that we've both come to that same number. That's quite impressive.
That's a law of nature.
Yeah.
You see it in everything.
I'd say so. And this was actually before I even saw that video, funny enough. It's quite strange. But yeah, I think we've got an interesting year to come. That's for sure.
We do. Oh, before, I think we're probably at a good point to be wrapping up. But before we do so, have you had a chance to look at the Great Filter videos yet?
I have not. Forgive me, for I have sinned. But no, please give everyone a rundown on the Great Filter.
Oh yeah.
How's it going?
Well, to those completely unaware, the Great Filter is a Catalyst-funded proposal that basically presented the hypothesis that most people who write proposals are terrible at writing proposals. Not that their ideas are necessarily bad, but that they are wasting our time by writing incomplete proposals, leaving us to fill in the blanks, and that's just a waste of everybody's time. So our team has devised a set of objective filter criteria that can be implemented, where we filter away all the proposals that are incomplete. So if you do not have information that is critical for any proposal to have, then you don't deserve to be read by the people who choose to go to us for that. Of course, if anybody that wants to read anything can always go on Ideascale, and they can find everything. They can sift through the trough and look for the pearls themselves. So some stats on that. It was very helpful doing my warning announcement on the town hall at the start of December. Our pass rate has been much higher than initially anticipated. We're actually, so Fund 7 had about 1,200 submissions in total, and 260 passed through the Great Filter. So about round up 25% pass rate.
Wow, 25.
We expected.
That's quite, yeah. That's much more than I would have guessed, because I've looked at quite a lot of Catalyst proposals and thought, why am I reading this?
Yeah. So I think I spoke with Chris Bart, the product owner of Catalyst, about this, and helped me get onto the town hall and do a little presentation for the Fund 7 authors. That seems to have helped a lot with this, where I really emphasized, like, here's what I see 99% of you guys fail to do. And I think a lot of people got that message and made the changes. So I can touch in on that a little bit. So this is what I addressed at the town hall is still predictably what we saw the most proposals die on. And that is failing to account for skills required. And skills required is not here's what we can do. Skills required is our criteria for you explaining, here's what we need. Because just because you're a master level programmer, that doesn't tell me anything about if you also need the assistant of a jockey and a doctor. So actually explaining, like, here's our plan, here's what we're going to do, here's what we need. Then yeah, sure, you can give the CV of your amazing team. But if I don't know what that's a reflection to, I don't know if that's enough or if it's above the need or whatever. The other one is performance metrics. So we've defined this as quantifiable, measurable metrics of your progressing towards your listed goals and achievements, which is a whole lot of criteria. And most proposals list up either just binary things that's like, oh, our performance metrics is that we crush it. like
Oh.
paraphrased. It's
Oh,
like,
no.
that's fucking useless.
Yeah.
They don't write it like that, but like it is these like kind of things of we do this thing and it's successful.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, those two things, mostly the skills required, like, that got a lot of cut, but oh man, is tragic comical to read through some of the things that was being put up. Also because there's a lot of great ideas and they were just presented in such a horrible ham-fisted way that like,
Yeah, but this is the problem with great programmers, tech people, crypto people, whoever. It's the problem with a lot of people is essentially that you might be good at what you do, but that doesn't mean that you're capable of running an entire project around what you do. You might just be good at one aspect of that. So I can totally see that happening all the time. What is the project that got you? What's the project you have the most hope for, the most excitement for, the most belief that will actually get pulled off successfully? Your criteria, you choose it, but what project do you want to? Is there a project out there that you want to single out? From a personal perspective, this is not as the great filter, but is there something that you've noticed lately that you've thought, "Ooh, that would be great"?
I'm highly biased that says we are partnering on a bunch of things together, but Bullish Dumpling has several proposals running in Fund 7, continuing her China adoption work, and also trying to, I think she's the first actually for this, trying to get up a paid program for her to continue doing Twitter Spaces in a dedicated newscast format.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's not an expensive project as you might see, but no, I thought that's really cool because it's a really popular format going on, and she's doing tremendously well with both the Chinese and the Western audience and bridging that gap of knowledge.
Yeah, certainly.
And yeah, when I saw the proposal, I thought, well, that just fucking makes sense, right? Because I mean, yeah, it's awesome to hear her doing all of to give all these updates. That's typically information that's really fucking hard to get a hold of if you don't speak Mandarin or know where to look for news sources. And yeah, of course, if she's doing this regularly as she has been doing, like every 5 days, I shouldn't expect for her to be doing that for nothing.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely free. I take a fee for running my stake pool. I wouldn't expect for somebody who's putting in the work and dedication to research and do investigative reporting the way that she's doing to do that for free. But yeah, so she's got several proposals lined up, which I also think is a smart way to anybody else who might think about writing Catalyst proposals. You want to break it up. Because like if you have an idea, if you can, you need to break it up into several different things. Maybe it's only aspects of your idea that people really like and that they want to vote for and get funded. Maybe another proposal is more popular than yours above, and that gets first pick in the funding. And then if you amalgamate all the things you have together in one big one, there isn't enough money for you to get anything, even though you got the popular vote to be next in line. So that's a smart thing to do as well, breaking them up. I forgot all of the names, but the thing is China Info Hub continued, Dumpling Twitter Spaces, and well, they're obviously China related from all of their titles.
I'm with you.
Yeah, those are the ones that I'm bullish on, pun intended, and excited to see.
No, that's great.
Remember to register to vote, guys and girls. Deadline is 6th of January, so you've got 5 days left before the snapshot if you haven't registered.
Fantastic. I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you next month. Happy Cardano. Happy Cardano.